The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Fellow citizens, following the sequence of events, Uganda seems to be at political crossroads.
I'm not a servant of anybody.
Madam, I know the law.
As such, Alternative Digital brings you the Interface Show with retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besuje.
Let's keep on the same page on Alternative Digitalk,
As he gives you the alternatives on the transition question, rule of law, human rights and freedom, youth inclusion in governance, economic stagnation, as he confirms.
I'll be always here Saturday from 10 a.m. in the morning. Be there.
Don't miss the live discussion on the Alternative Uganda, Digitalk TV Facebook pages, and the Alternative Uganda YouTube channel.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Wasuzota munanga kedena folna koralero lunaku lwa kusatu ennaku z'omwezi tubala 24 omwezi tuli mu gwa May omwaka 2023 mbabuuzaako yonna gye musinzidde okubanga mutulaba program The Mighty Drive gyogenda mu maaso n'okubanga olaba era ng'enetandika ssaawa 2 ez'okumakya okutuukira ddala ate ku ssaawa 4 ez'akalasamayanzi nga twogera ku nsonga ez'enjawulo nga bwe ziba zitambudde mu ggwanga era nga n'olunaku olwaleero tugenda kuba tukubaganya ebirowoozo ku nsonga ez'enjawulo ezigenda maaso mu ggwanga lino erya Uganda era nga mu maaso ngenda kubanga negattibwako munnange Rogers Tulehabwe awamu n'omukulu Norman Tumuhimbise National Coordinator w'ekisinde kya Alternative Social Movement ate tubeere nga tugayagaya mu nsonga ez'enjawulo nga bwe zinaaba zitambudde ate programu eno yennyini so akanyomero ke tulimu akekamwete Global News Updates nze Omumbejja Luwudde Lilian okubanga ate nkutuusaako ebimu ku ebyo ebyakoze amawulire awano mu ggwanga Uganda n'ebitundu by'eggwanga ebyenjawulo so ngenda kubanga mbiyitamuko lukwakwayo tusobole okubanga tetwegattibwako abakulu abo nga bwe mbakugambye tutambulye ddala ate munnange nga tukubaganya ebirowoozo ku nsonga ez'enjawulo tuli butereevu ku page zaffe The Alternative Uganda ku Facebook awamu ne Digitalk TV so nga ate ku YouTube tuli The Alternative Uganda so nkusaba busabi agenda munange subscribing ku YouTube channel yaffe tusobola okubanga tutambulira wamu ate era naawe weyongera okubanga omanya biki bye tukola ku Twitter kwe tuli nnyo ate The Alternative Uganda so nga ate ne ku Instagram kwe tuli The Alternative Uganda jemekutu kwosobola okubanga ate otufunira tusobola okubanga tutambulira wamu nga bw'onyumirwa naye nga ate bw'obaako n'ebyokuyiga ebyenjawulo awo nno wengendo kugendera ate mu updates oba mu bimu ku ebyo ebyakoze amawulire ate tulyoke tweyongereyo ne program ngenda tandika n'omukulembeze w'eggwanga General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni olunaku olw'eggulo yatandise ate okulambula ebbendobendo ly'e Masaka era ng'eno nno munnange ali mu kubonyesa enjiri eya parish development model era nga munnange bano nno yagenzeeyo n'ayogerako nabo era ate neyennyamira munnange olw'abagaba ensimbi okubanga ate munnange abawandiisa abagala okwenyigira mu nteekateeka eno ey'emiruka oba ya parish development model munnange okuba nti babasasuza ssente ate nga munnange ssente zino bazibasasuza olw'okuba nti bagala okubawandiisa kyokka nga ate munnange babawa ssente zino ne babeera bazibawadde munnange babawa akaseera katono nnyo okuba nti bazizzaayo kakati n'ategeeza nti munnange kino nno kikosa nnyo ate enteekateeka eno guno si gwe gusoose ate okuwulira okwemulugunya kw'abantu nti munnange abantu ababawandiisa oba abali mu nteekateeka eno eya PDM naye ate ababawandiisa babagamba nti baweebeeko akasente ate munnange ke bawaayo basobole okuba nga babayisaayisaawo mangu oba ate n'okuba nga munange baba wa sente zino naye ng'omukulembeze w'eggwanga mu kulambula ebbendobendo ly'e Masaka munange yavuddeyo ate era neyenyamira olw'abantu abagenda mu maaso n'okubanga bakola ekikolwa nga kino. So omukulembeze w'eggwanga era eno nno munange gye yasinzidde n'akomentinga ku mugga Katonga ogwo nno gye buvuddeko munange amazzi gawaguza ne gasalako oluguudo lwa Kampala Masaka. Ate munange oluguudo luno bwe lwayawulwamu amazzi munange ate abaali balukozesa ne balagirwa okubanga bakozesa oluguudo lw'empijjo luno ate badde Sembabule balyoke ate beeyongereyo n'olugendo lwabwe. Naye ng'omukulembeze w'eggwanga yategeezezza nti munange wayinza okubanga waliwo omuzima omunyiivu ate munange oguyinza okubanga gwe gwavaako olutindo lwa Katonga ate munange okubanga lubomoka. Era nga eno nno mu kulambula kuba mu lugendo lwe luno wonna ate era yawadde abavubuka ab'ekyannamukaaka obukadde 3 okusobola okubanga munange zibayambako okwongera okukola kaawa. Oyo nno ye mukulembeze w'eggwanga General Kaguta Museveni. Omukolo guno gwetabiddwako ate abantu ab'enjawulo era nga nalabyeko mubaka omu ng'avaayo okumukaabira ennaku gye balina, enguudo ze balina nti munnange teziri mu mbeera nnungi n'ebirala bingi nnyo bye bavuddeyo okubanga bakaabira omukulembeze w'eggwanga bye babadde bayitamu ebiyitirivu. Kwegamba olugendo luno omukulembeze w'eggwanga lwaliko mu kulambula ate ebbendobendo ly'e Masaka. Endowooza ate munnange babadde balina ensonga ez'enjawulo ze badde baagala okumugamba ke kaseera ke baafunye ate okubanga munnange bazimwanjiza bulungi nnyo. Naye ng'ateera ku mukolo gwe gumu kaakati ye omubaka Twaha Kagabo munnange yavuddeyo era naye n'alumya ab'ekibiina ekya National Unity Platform olw'okutegeeza nti munnange omutima gwe ennaku zino ate kaakati gukubira wa munnamagye General Muhoozi Kainerugaba era ngo ne mutabani w'omukulembeze w'eggwanga. Omubaka Twaha Kagabo kino nno atazze nga akyogerako ng'ategeeza nti ye akyali munnakibiina kya National Unity Platform olw'ensonga nti munnange nonno yaweebwa kaadi ey'ekibiina naye ng'ate newankubadde subscribinga ku kibiina ekya National Unity Platform munnange ate ye yategeezeza nti omutima gwe kakati we twogerera gukubira wa General Muhoozi Kainerugaba ate mu kisinde ekyo ekipya. Kakati ebyo nno nabyo bwe bityo bwe bikyali. Namulabako ku mukutu ogumu ng'avaayo okwogera ku nsonga eno n'ategeeza nti munnange abakulu mu NUP bamugamba awandiike ebbaluwa ate munnange ng'asaba okubanga ateekebwa mu kakiiko akakwasisa empisa bamuvunaane olw'ebikolwa bino byagenda mu maaso n'okubanga akola olw'ensonga nti bikontana n'ennono z'ekibiina. Naye ate ye n'ategeeza nti munnange tajja kugaana kuswagulira bantu be bakiikirira olw'okuba nti takkiriziganya na kibiina kiri mu buyinza naye ng'ate bwe wabaawo enteekateeka yonna ey'okuyamba abantu be ye munnange tajja kubanga agaana kubanga agyenyigira mu. So n'olunaku lw'eggulo era naye bw'atyo bwe yagenze mu maaso n'okubanga alumya aba NUP bwe yabategeezeza nti munnange omutima gwe guyina ate gye gukubira newankubadde akyali mu kibiina ekya National Unity Platform. Awo nno ngenda kubanga nvaawo ate munnange neeyongereyoko ku kyalo mu Bali mu town council y'Ekijura mu district ey'e Kabarore era eno nno munnange omusirikale wa UPDF Private Wilson Sabiti yakuba Minister Charles Engola amasasi gye buvuddeko. Ono nno munnange olunaku lw'eggulo yaziikiddwa ate mu bitiibwa ebijjuvu eby'amagye. Kinajjukirwa nti omwogezi w'eggye lya UPDF yavaayo n'ategeeza nti munnange ono nno tebagenda kubanga bamuziika mu bitiibwa eby'amagye naye ate wabaddewo okuba enkyukira era nga olunaku olw'eggulo omulambo gwakwasiddwa ate abafamire y'omugenzi Private Wilson Sabiti naye nga munnange n'eggye lya UPDF lyabaddewo nnyo ate ku mukolo guno. Ono nno abadde amaze ennaku eziwulira ddala 21 okuva lwe yattibwanga munnange ono taziikibwanga era nga abafamire ye bavuddengayo ne beemulugunya munnange ku nsonga y'okuba nti muntu waabwe tannaba kubanga abaweebwa era nga munnange bakaabira ejjirayo PDF okubaako kye likola so that omwana waabwe munnange aziikibwa. Kakati nno omulanga gwabwe ogwo gwaddiddwamu olunaku lw'eggulo bwe bakwasiddwa ate munnange omulambo gwa mutabani waabwe okusobola okubanga munnange ate bagugalamiza ku bijja bya bajjajjaabe naye ng'ate ejje lya UPDF lyabaddewo nnyo okubanga likola omulimu guno era nga munnange beesunzeemukko n'ensimbi awo ezisoba mu kakadde akalambazi baawadde ab'enju y'omugenzi naye ng'ate bo ab'enju y'omugenzi beebazizza nnyo famire ya Minisita Charles Engola olw'okusonyiwa mutabani waabwe ate nno munnange ate nabo ne basobola okubanga bamufuna okubanga munnange bamuziika naye tebakomyawo basabye ejje lya UPDF okubanga munnange babakwasisaako okuyamba ate abaana ba private Wilson Sabiti beyaleka n'emisomo gyabwe okubanga beeyongerayo ate basobole okubanga basoma olw'ensonga nti abadde avunaanyizibwa ku bisale byabwe eby'essomero munnange ono nno yava mu bulamu bw'ensi eno so ago nno amawulire bwe gati ate nago bwe gatambudde sayidi eyo ngenda kubanga ate nvaawo awo olwo nno ntinetine ate nzireyoko mu kibiina ekya National Unity Platform omukulembeze w'ekibiina ekyo omukulu Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu ono nno olunaku olw'eggulu yakubye ekimooni akakiiko ka Gavumenti aka Uganda Human Rights Commission era nga munnange ono nno yabadde asuubira okubanga agenda ate munnange okuwulira omusango gwe yaloopa ng'avunaana poliisi okubanga ate munnange bayimiriza ebivulu bye. Omusango guno yaguloopa mu Desemba wa 2018 era nga munnange yeemulugunya olwate poliisi okugenda nga maaso n'okuyimirizanga ebivulu bye yali ategese ate mu kiseera ekyo. Awo nno munnange we yava ne yeekubira enduulu mu kakiiko ka Gavumenti akakola ku nsonga z'eddembe ly'obuntu aka Uganda Human Rights Commission era nga olunaku olw'eggulo munnange okulira okuwaabwa kwe kuno oba okuwulira omusango gwe gwe yaloopa kwabadde kutandika lunaku lwaggulo naye ng'ate ye munnange teyabaddeyo wabula nga yasindise bannamateeka be era munnange bano nno baategeezezza akakiiko nti omukulu Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu munnange tali mu Kampala mu kiseera kino alina emirimu emirala gyagenda maaso n'okubanga akolako mu bitundu by'eggwanga eby'enjawulo naye nga tajja kusobola okubeerawo omulundi ogujja ate munnange ekyo nno kye baasabye akakiiko aka Uganda Human Rights Commission naye nga ate akakulira omukyala Wangadya munnange nno yategeezezza nti omukulu ono Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu bw'anaaba nga tasobodde kubanga alabikako mu kakiiko kano mu bonnambiro oba oliawo omusango gwe guno guyinza okugobebwa oba ate munnange ne guyimirizibwa. Kakati munnange kino nno ate abannamateeka b'omukulu Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu munnange bakikubyemu ebituli nga bategeeza nti engeri akulira Uganda Human Rights Commission munnange gye yeecwacwanyeemu oba oliawo beeraliikirivu mu nti ensala ate ku musango guno eyinza okubeeramu ekyekubiira so ebyo nno nabo bwe batyo bwe babitegeezezza nga bennyamidde nti munnange ensala y'omusango guno eyinza okubeeramu kyekubiira olw'ensonga ate ezo nga bwengenze maaso n'okubanga nze kutegeeza. Kakati awo ngenda kubanga nvaawo neeyongereyokko mu mawulire amalala ku ddakiika zino 15 ezakayita ku ssaawa 2 ez'amakya g'olunaku olwaleero. Kakati ngenda kubanga neeyongerayo ate nkutegeeza ku ebyo ebirala. Bannakyewa abalwanirira eddembe lya bannamawulire aba Human Rights Network for Journalists oba HRNJ olunaku olw'eggulo bafulumizza alipoota yaabwe ey'omwaka 2022 awo nno ku kulaga eddembe lya bannamawulire butabwerize lityoboolwa era nga alipoota eno munnange yalaze abakuumaddembe abapoliisi nga munnange be bakulembedde mu kutyobola eddembe lya bannamawulire okwonna ate gattako munnange ne bannamagye abo nno be bagoberera ku lisiti eyo ey'abatyoboola eddembe ate ery'abannamawulire wabula mu alipoota eno era munnange yalaze nti wadde bannamawulire abakyala be bakyasinze okuba nga munnange balinyirirwa eddembe lya oba be bakyasinze okuba nga batulugunyizibwa munnange emisango egyawaabwa okwetooloola ate eggwanga munnange lyonna gyava jakka okuva ku 131 ate munnange ne gituukira ddala ku 9 awo nno kiragawo enkyukakyuka nti munnange enamba luli yali wagguluko naye ate ku mulundi guno enamba munnange yasseemuko naye ate era bagenze maaso n'okusaba gavumenti munnange okutuukiriza ebyo bye yeeyama okubanga ekolera ate bannamawulire so ago nno ge mawulire agava esayidi eyo ate munnange ensonga zino ez'abannamawulire zizenga zoogerwako ebiseera ebisengera nga bateeka abakuumaddembe mu kifo ekyokumwanjo bwebituuka ku kutyoboola ate eddembe ly'abannamawulire era nawano bakuumaddembe be bakulembedde nga poliisi yeekulembedde oba yeekutte omumuli guno okunnogattako eggye ly'eggwanga erya UPDF bwe kituuka ku kutyoboola eddembe ly'abannamawulire so nga nsuubire nti ate wanaabaawo enkyukakyuka kakati awo nno nawo nvuddewo ngenze maaso ate neggulire eddala munnamawulire omugundiivu ate era nga ono abadde munnabyemizannyo omukulu Stuart Kiwanuka Mutebi olunaku olw'eggulo yaziikiddwa ekasokoso mu Wakiso ono nno abadde amaze ebbanga nga munnanga aweereza program ez'ebyemizannyo ku radio ez'enjawulo era nga munnanga ono nno yava mu bulamu bw'ensi eno gye buvuddeko nga kigambibwa nti abadde amaze era ebbanga eriwerako ng'atawaanyizibwa obulwadde obw'omutima era nga munnange gye buvuddeko awo yava mu bulamu bw'ensi eno naye kakati olunaku olw'eggulo era ono nno munnange yaziikiddwa eri abo abagoberera emipiira oba ebyemizannyo muzenga mumuwulirako ku mayengo ga radio ez'enjawulo nga munnange agenda mu maaso n'okuba nga aweereza so ono nno olunaku olw'eggulo yaziikiddwa era nga abamu ku beetabye mu kuziika kuno kwabaddeko mubaka Alan Sewanyana okunnogattako omubaka Muhammad Segirinya n'ababaka ate ab'enjawulo kunno kwogatta ne bannamawulire ab'enjawulo ababadde bamumanyi obulungi ate era n'abo abagoberezi ate ab'ebyemizannyo oba abagoberera emipiira because ono abadde ng'ayogerera nnyo emipiira era nno munnange baleesa mentarinze be bayitirivu abatambulira mu bigere bye era nga abamu ku abo b'owulira era owulira ddala nga boogera bagezaako okwogera nga ye oba bagezaako okuba nga akoppa ebimu ku ebyo bye yalinga akola naye nga tusaba omwoyo gw'omugenzi Omukama Katonda agulamuza ekisa kakati awo nno nvuddewo ne neeyongerayoko natera okuba nga mponzeka amawulire gaffe olw'ensonga nti n'akadde nako munnange tekantwala bulungi nnyo naye ngenda kubanga nga wunzika mu maaso kaawo kakati kansooke nkutegeezeeko n'ensonga zino Ssaabaduumizi wa poliisi Martin Okoth Ochola olunaku olw'eggulo yayimirizza mbagirawo kampuni ez'obukuumi ez'obwannannyini ezuulira ddala 39 munnange ezikola okukola gwonna ogukwatagana n'okukuuma okutuusa nga munnange bano nno batuukiriza ebisaanyizo ebyetaagisa okuba nga bakola omulimu guno era nga Ochola yalagidde abaduumizi abapoliisi okwetoloola eggwanga lyonna okukakasa nti munnange ekiragiro kino munnange ate kiteekebwa mu nkola wabula ate nga Pole Namaye ono nno yamyuka omwogezi wa poliisi yavuddeyo n'ategeeza nti kampuni zirina okuba nga zituukiriza ate obukwakkulizo obupya obwateereddwawo era nga muno nno mulimu okuba nga baddamu okutendeka abakuumi baayo olwo nno njogera ku makampani gano agalina abakuumi abakuuma ate okubanga munnange baddamu okubatendeka munnange balina okubanga ate munnange bafuna clearance certificate eya NSSF okwonogattako okusasulira license ey'okufuna emmundu era nga poliisi nayo erina okubanga erina ate okugenda munnange ku offices zino abakuumi bano gye batendekerwa okuddamu ate okubeekenneenya ate okusobola okukola ne inspection mu makampani ganeeno. Bino nno bituukiddewo nga abakuumi okuva mu bitongole ebikuuma ebyenjawulo ate munnange engeri gye babadde nga abettamu ate abalala n'ebikola bye babadde nga bakola oba oluusi munnange tebibadde birungi era nga kino nno munnange Ssaabaduumizi wa poliisi Martin Okoth-Ochola ayinza okuba nga kye yasinziddeko okuba nga ayimiriza ate amakampani agamu okuba nga munnange tegagenda mu maaso nakukola mulimu gwonna gukwatagana ku kukuuma okutuusa nga basobodde okuba nga bafuna ebisaanyizo bye balina okuba nabyo. Kakati awo nno ngenda kubanga ate ntina neeyongereko ku kakiiko ka Parliament akaali kateekebwawo okubanga kanoonyereza ate ku mivuyo gino egy'amabaati mu office eya Ssaabaminisita. Kakati olunaku olw'eggulo bayanjiza alipoota eri Parliament era banenyeza munnange Prime Minister Robinah Nabbanja ate munnange okulemererwa okwekenneenya ensonga nga bwe zitambula mu yafeesi ye era nga kino nno kyaleetera okubanga aba minisita ab'enjawulo ate bagenda mu maaso n'okubanga beegabira amabaati era ne bategeeza nti munnange ono nno yeetaaga akangavvulwe olw'okuba nti y'omu ku abo abaafuna amabaati era ng'ono yafuna amabaati 200 agaali galina okubeera ate ag'abawejjere e Karamoja. Honorable Jessica Ababiku ono nno munnange yabadde ssentebe w'akakiiko kano ye yayanjiza alipoota eno eri Parliament era n'asaba mu bimu ku ebyo ebyabadde mu alipoota eno kwe kuba nti munnange Speaker wa Parliament awamu ate ne Vice President bavayo okubanga beetondera abantu b'e Karamoja nga kino nno balina okukikolera ate mu Parliament okwo nno kw'ossa ababaka abaminisita abakola ku nsonga z'e Karamoja nga kuno nno kuliko Honorable Mary Goreti Kitutu awamu ne Honorable Agnes Nandutu okubanga ate munnange bano nno bakangavvulwa olw'okutwala ate ebitaali byabwe nga bino nno byali by'abantu b'e Karamoja naye ate ne bamaliriza nga bo ate munnange be babyezizza. So akakiiko kano kamaze ebbanga munnange nga kakola okunoonyereza ku nsonga nzito naye nga tolunaku olw'eggulo kayanjiza alipoota yaako ate eri Parliament era nga bino nno munnange bye bimu ku ebyo ebyabadde mu alipoota eno. Njagala kubanga mpunzika amawulire gange ag'olunaku olwaleero kakati nkutegeeze nti ate munnange n'ensonga eza Koosi ezizino ezigambibwa okuba nti ziri expired nazo zikyagendera ddala mu maaso nga Parliament yamaze dda okuba nga nayo esamoninga Minister wa Education okubanga ate munnange alabikako eri Parliament abannyonnyole ate munnange ensonga zino eza courses neziri expired. Ebirala bingi nnyo bisobodde kubanga mbawa naye tugenda mu kuwumulamuko katono nnyo. Bwe tukomawo Mighty Drive egenda kubanga egenda maaso ngenda kubanga negattibwako omukulu Rogers Tulyahabwe tutambuze programu eno okutuukira ddala ku ssaawa 4 ate nno okugattako omugenyi waffe olunaku olwaleero omukulu Norman tumuhimbise ono nno nga National Coordinator w'ekisinde kya Alternative Social Movement nga twogera ku nsonga ez'enjawulo ate nga bwe zimidde mu ggwanga lino erya Uganda. Mighty Drive ekyagenda mu maaso. Good morning.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk. The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Are you craving for that special meal that will entice your taste buds and leave you with lasting thrilling memories? Look no further. Spice Island Bulenga has got your answer. Natural, fresh and delicious juice, the best meals. Do not miss our daily specials from Monday to Sunday. Pizza Wednesday,
Saturday Pizza Bonanza, you buy one and take two. Come dine with us and feel the experience. We are located at Prime Shopping Center in Bulenga, Mitiana Road. For inquiries, call us on 0704111720. Spice Island, we treat your cravings.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Nyongera kubuuzaako byonna gy'osinzidde okubanga otulaba Might Drive the program gy'ogenda maaso n'okubanga olaba nze omumbejja aliwo Lilian mu studio situddeemu bwomu ndimu ne Rogers tuli ahabwe ate bwe tugenda okubanga tutambuza program enda kutuutalira ku ssaawa 4 ez'amakya g'olunaku olwaleero so nga ate omukulu Norman Tumuhimbise naye yamaze dda okubanga twegattako so kutegeeza tuli butereevu ku page ezaffe The Alternative Uganda awamu ne Digitalk TV ku Facebook osobola okubanga ate otufunira naawe n'obeera kitundutundu ku discussion gye tugenda okuba nayo olunaku olwaleero tulina ensonga n'ez'enjawulo zetugenda okubanga twogerako naye nga tesinaba kugenda kuzanja zonna omukulu Rogers tuli ahabwe kasooka tulamuseeko ate tweyongereyo. Rogers, good morning.
Good morning, Lillian. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very great honor yet again to be here today to talk about a number of issues that are going on around the country. But even out of Uganda, I also want to highlight some of the issues that are also happening today. This is the Africa Week. The African Union is celebrating 60 years. And as it does, of course, Uganda as a member state, I want to say, there's just a number of issues that are not going right. There has been always a campaign of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area where goods and services move freely across the borders, and that is not a thing that has been realized yet. It needs about 15 countries to ratify that for it to become law, which has not happened yet. So in the celebration of the 60 years, this whole week, the African Union and most of the member states are also trying to put up some of the activities to make sure that the aspirations of the agency are coming to fruition. Of course, now looking at what happened back in the day, 2013, 10 years ago, the campaign of silencing the guns has not also been realized, seeing the surges in 2020, a number of the issues and coups happening, the internals like the Libya, you have seen the Sudan, there's the Cameroon, there's Egypt, Ethiopia, a number of all of those happening. I don't know how that is going. So as African Union celebrates the 60 years, I think there's so much deep dive that should be done to see that we have our interests and priorities aligned. Anyways, today we are going to talk about a number of issues that are current in Uganda, and most of those, of course, we will be lining up as we move along with our guest who is going to introduce himself right now to say hello to all of us.
Okay, viewers, good morning. My name is Norman Tumuhimbise, and I always use it as a disclaimer that my coming here does not necessarily mean that I'm the most brilliant, but at least I am one of those few that have that courage to share the little that we know. And I'm glad being here once again. Baganda se era agita ajuomia. So this thing of agita tajuomia. Because it's not agita still not juomia. So thank you, gentlemen and ladies out there for really watching and following the Alternative Digitalk. Yeah.
All right, thank you for being with us. Before we get to the Ugandan current affairs, I wanted you to just comment on the African Union and all of this, the Borderless Africa campaign. There's a friend of mine who is, I think, a coordinator of the Africans Rising. It's a movement, a Pan-African movement that is trying to champion the Borderless Africa. They're saying that the African Continental Free Trade Area, which is primarily about the goods and services, free movement and across borders, cannot happen without the free borderless Africa where people themselves can cross freely. What do you think about all of this and the campaign and the achievement of African Union as one?
No, I think for me, I think I would, for some reason, use two languages, Luganda and Luzungu. Yes. Bwaba mwana African Union yakona like nache tugamba kwa bwaba mwana aba yakona atena sikukona in fact yakonziba kati mukukonziba enviri nezimusenyuka kutakusenyuka enviri nezimukongoka kwa linga bino bukoko busanga tebulina bulago zibansejjere no like the same bukoko nga obulago tekuli byoya. So that's how we would describe African Union. Do you know why? Nti emyaka nkaaga kadugala akyagenda mu IMF okwewola emyaka nkaaga gye mulina gye mukaddigidde nga mulina envi as per the name of course per your existence emyaka nkaaga. China as simply one country will invite you negamba ayagala kola president of Africa, they will say China Africa Summit nemukwata emitwe jammwe ngala bisona muzugu bakunyonyi paka China.
President Ruto was recently talking about that. Yeah. Babaga bambo simanyanga they tell you Russia Africa what summit mitwe jonna nenyonyi zammwe nemuzikwata ebisajja ebikulu ati muri muvubuka all your presidents are old. Averagely I think the average age of African presidents around is 55. In fact aba president aba Africa bali myaka 5 batono average patike mu nkaga kwambuka nga mwina kwanga mwina nabe 10 wali gwana walinga alinga kazombi. Some president of which country? Gabon. Some African president alinga kazombi alia bawalula muwalule. So Paul Biya
is Nigeria bakalonda ngaba
nesi manyo bacha akola. Is he still president? Is he there?
He is. He lives in France though. He resides in France.
Kati awo bimuyina myaka nkaga. So literally for me it's of course sometimes people think we are sadists and alarmists, which literally I think I want to sound one like AU has lost its purpose. Honestly myaka nkaga going, you still have borders between, I mean, even blocks, you know, IGAD, East African Community, at least those crystals or blocks of Botono, Nabu borders, Chaganyo Kuguruao. Because if it had been in Gabon, East African Community, for example, okay, Gawaru borders, yeah, at least for East African Community, maybe IGAD, maybe, you know, those blocks, Nina Wuchaganya. So for sure, it's just
but is this entirely a problem of the African Union for failing for those borders? The countries
no. You see, African Union is just a name. It's a title. Which title operates with some heads?
Yeah.
So literally, when you say African Union, just it's a title. You have Museveni, you have Ruto, you have, of course, Ruto is a young man of just yesterday. You have Kagamis of this world, they bajaja bakuno. You know, Bukade wakuno, Museveni, Biya, those guys who are even more or less like zombies. Bali out. Tamayina, can you say no mubuza kufuga gwanga chinagamba? Paris, like he thinks he's even leading France. Ninga is leading Uganda. I mean, he's leading either those West African countries. To say, it is, you know, it has faced stunted growth. African Union just, in my view, lost sense. Ngojeko kuchogera ko bogezi kusikana kunyaka chai Addis Ababa. Now I think there is a big event in Munyonyo here tomorrow over the same. So kunywa mukachai and just, you know, shaking hands. Abakunkumbude myaka imeka. Nzeno ndi mwana ategwe ankaga batwali chinana. That's the discussion that is there. Because once Museveni meets Biya, what do you think? What do you expect? Once Museveni meets Kagame gamba tobava komangu. So literally that's the chibozi, but no one discusses serious business. Having a unified currency, borderless, whatever trades, manga misoro. I mean, even if selling kasori in Kenya, you'll pay taxes.
I feel like some of those things cannot be achieved, especially like the currency.
You say, especially when you still have a mind, you know, this regime of Biya, Museveni, Kagame. Mention them. You might even find even Mugabe's ghost is there. I mean, they must be there.
Mr. Norman, ogeze no gamba nti African Union tekola yoka. Wabula ekola
when you found an organization, say Alternative Digitalk, echo linnya naye emabega wali linnya waliyo obwongo bwatandikachi with the objectives. Rogers and Lillian, you all know objectives ne mission ne goals AU mumba muzisoma. Have you even achieved 2% of them? You see, they don't watch when you found the host. Kati, bwemutandika Digitalk, for example. Temukitandika chocho kali mugamba kati Digitalk tukutandise kola bitu ino kola. There must be heads. So as long as you have rusted heads in emitwe jatalaga. The name of Digitalk will remain there and will not achieve its purpose.
Then what do they have to do? Because however much you want Africa to be one, there are certain things having that one currency or East Africa
there are things that may not necessarily come to happen, but there are campaigns I feel that are most important. Like the silencing the guns, which was primarily aiming at reducing cause.
Rogers,
reducing
you will not silence guns. Rogers, you will not silence guns. Nga Putin ayagala ye okubeera kwa Putin ne Russia ayina kuguza AK-47. You silence guns by first of all blocking any African country from procuring guns. That's the procedure.
But every country has a right to state sovereignty and control of its border and protection from any external invasion. So how do you as an AU stand and say?
Ebya AU birungi si birungi ng'omwana afananye neighbor. So
anyway, so this is the way.
Nali pulira of recent gaga South Africa ya work over Russia
No, the US was alleged.
No, even Russia.
South Africa,
but also Russia
rather. Russia.
South Africa, by the way.
Yes.
Support.
I don't know the facts, if that is factual.
Okay. Let us assume it's not factual. Now, tell Russia, I think a week ago, the Zimbabwe helicopter gunships over 200, something like that. So this is their market. Never one fertilizers, I think.
So if this is everyone's market, can we achieve that? Can we achieve that goal of fenafena tsobolo kubera awamu oba fena tsobolo kwataganira awamu?
We can.
Because on wabanga bano bamu wanolinga bali bamu watenga bano balabe.
No, here is the way we can do that, I think, is this, that as much as we are running ground market for all of these Europeans, the Americans and the Russians and all of those, if the Africans were really serious about uniting, like Ruto was telling them, stand and have a position of negotiation. Because if you realize most of the resources, the raw materials that work in most of those countries we are market, they come from here.
This is how funny it becomes. Africa yokusoberera. Oyine nyumba room emu. Mukyala wo mwekwata amatayi ne maid n'abaana. Naye ng'ogamba eroseno yegatte. Kenya itself is united in the first place before even Ruto brings his wisdom to say we can promote the unity of Africa. First, unite your country. By the way, in Africa, do we even have that country that is solid in your view? No, for sure. Maybe you could talk about some islands in Seychelles and maybe very few countries.
Seychelles, where there was a free visa for all African.
You see, as small as that island, it's like this table. Na yemu abaina some economy nga budi wachiri. Your countries are broken. They are cracked. Which one country that you can stand on and say this country is united in this Africa? Either ejakwera mbawarabu mu Tunisia, Tunisia up here in Northern Africa, go mudugavu bakusolanga tali mu Africa. Bo berabanga bawarabu. In fact, like in Morocco is in Arab League. It's not even in African Union. Naye bo bagamba babasi bayo busibi. So tell me, if you have faith to unite your own country, how would you even unite Africa?
No, what do you mean there is, like, it's not solid? Because every country has
tell me one country that is united. You see, you can have internal politics, Ningamo united. This is also possible with some opposition, but you have that something that unifies you, something that unites you as a country. I mean that fabric, chino choba mbinga fenga Ugandans, chino chitugatta. So tell me one country ngogamba. This country, it is peaceful. It's this, despite even the political differences, of course.
But we also discussing.
When Omuchukuyu no mu Kalenjini, they will have issues. Omuchukuyu no mu Jalu, they will have issues. You get. So you even lack the moral authority because one day gambe ngabwe nakola kugwanga yange gatta. Let us now borrow from my experiences.
Unlike here in Uganda.
No, but he had a good point. I was listening to that speech Ruto was making, and I think he had a good point, which is what you actually also hinted on. The thing of when the US wants to meet
You take all your heads.
Presidents, you all go in one, but you saw.
To meet just one person. Ngabatene mu bus, nobody wow mwera ngabatwala just ngabatembe bansene ngabayimide ne mu bus ukoste mujjana mabomo bayimide bati balinga jine mteji supporting obusisira.
That was embarrassing.
You get, and what I mean, for me, what even annoys me more is that omu kubafirika bebera bayise atamba ne delegation with a private jet. But you get from a poor economy. And that's why we can number. You get that's why we can number. Even when they invite them, Musangoli are setting the agenda. Putin will now begin to lecture you, and you bring back your heads. Of course, with the loans.
Mr. Norman, kakati bali ganyo genda ngate je balino genda ye wavo obuyambi. Bali sigade bane bagana toke mwa batwetaga kati namwe mujeno nenga tebali baba.
Nate muyina mwagana okukiririzamu mbumwe kenyini muyina obuyambi. Mumuyina. Congo is the most wealthy country in the world. Amasimu gano apoga mwebani bana banene mu government ne mu position batenjo nabalage bakwata ebigakola ne uranium bamujja no Congo. You get ebikola amasimu ago naye mu bugwagwa bwa mwenga Afrika emitwe gya mugikwata mugitwale eri ate mwe kenyini mugamba mujje bambe mutubbe. Do you know there are some territories wano mu Congo nga UN army that's budget peacekeeping something and UN ngati bakiriza abantu genda nenga literally they are guarding ebirombe mu basima those minerals. Okay? So the problem for me amuzungu is just this waizeka ngabuno bwana bwavange Kampala nekatuka mu kyalo nekakubaka eryenvu kati gulo kuba koko nekakwasa chitoyi kasoka kuwa simu wakave Kampala nekakuwa game. So meanwhile as you play the game you can rumonde we can mevu. So that's the muzungu that is doing to your African countries. Mutemu mind mukoisa kati they are benefiting from your ignorance. So the problem cannot be with the Muzungu. That's what he's supposed to do, and you have failed to do what you ought to do as Africans.
Every time tukaba bwavu tukaba kino tukaba kiri.
Muchakaba. Because when muchakabira, if someone can tell you no, they have to take crude oil like buy no jamaftagamwe. Even just to use Ugandan example. Baga jehoima. Nebaga simira kangwite na mwala. Nebaga simira we gagendo okuyita that pipeline paka wa Tanzania. Baga kolelekeyo. Ne webuuza Uganda kati wajjula tibasobola kuga refining ira wano. Like I mean you just have a problem. Literally. I think kati bagambe wali tibagenda kuzimba nzimbe. You see everything we are depending on here like it has to be constructed. But because you have no will, like literally you guys, I think Africans
don't have infrastructure. You don't have infrastructure. It would be
because
one thing
to
build a refinery
here.
If we could build the refinery here, but do you have the infrastructure to
we even have the money to build that infrastructure?
No,
you
the other one, because the money we are putting in transporting and all that could just as well.
But look at the percentage Uganda is getting from this.
Rogers and Lillian, you just don't want. When we had people like Amin bacha kumacha agenda kumu yagenda mu AU conference. No, not AU. UN conference. Na alaba TV nga za colored. You get 1973 also. But yakuma wanagamba Uganda must have TV za colored. Era Amin introduced the colored TV in East Africa than any other country. But Nyerere was there. He's a senior. This man here, Kenyatta was there. You get? But I mean, because even when he was a P5 dropout, he had that. I mean, he had the brains of Pan-Africanism. Ninga ye agalize birungi. After watching nasanga muno mu Europe, balaba TV za colored. Nagamba, what does it take? What does it take okulaba TV za colored? I mean, brought it here. Kati ngamba infrastructure because you don't want. If you steal, how many trillions per year? Is a mubba. Tell me if all the money you have stolen ever since you guys ever since the NRM guys came in power in 1996 zonaze bakabba singe society zabibwa. Do you know how much money and how and its equivalent in terms of infrastructure that you guys would have? There is no will. So literally we have such an infrastructure, you just don't have will. All that we are bothered about is stealing.
What do African presidents have to do? Ngabo Gavumenti African Union.
And I think one of the things people will do in your AU meeting is, first of all, whenever kwate emikono basigaze guno ogwaddyo babenga bakatuliki gunsinzingire ddala ndi omusisi and then maybe they like literally say bituleme and maybe another generation can take charge.
So AEV obuvi because
no, the issue is
that means
maybe by setting a goal is nyingi. It's also possible, you know, you can be over ambitious. No, setting a goal to nogamba every 5 years or 10 years we review and say kali jini myaka 5 tuwadde kola akantu wekati. You get, you have it done. Nene we over ku AU. Go back to the bono butono kugambe block nga East African community. Tell me buntu mekakati that you say even if you're traveling even ku Kenya one. Much as baja kugamba mwina East African passport, they must stamp your passport. You get?
Yes.
Nakatono, like the smallest thing, you haven't achieved it. Ngoja kubatino you have the passport of East Africa. Nakatono, you'll reach the airport Yes, international airport, they will stamp your passport.
So in that, meanwhile, on that goal, out of the 55 member states of the AU, only 3, Seychelles, Benin, and I think Gambia, are the only ones who have free entries for all African countries. The rest, you going to Libya, you have to first go to France.
Of course, to come back. There's some countries. There is when I was supposed to go to some West African country, but the flight you first go to Dubai and come back to Africa.
Yeah.
Here, just like
even
Burkina Faso here, and so many countries here in West Africa. You first have to go to to Asia,
go to Europe, come back,
and then come back. So no, I think that thing has to be revised. You have to revise those about Nkuruma because maybe they had the blueprint of the whole idea.
But you have
Lumumba and others.
Now being called
you have titles. You have presidents that don't think beyond their nose and their countries. That's why we are facing what we are facing.
Anyways, so African Union Week is this one. So
and what is so Africa? And what is so Africa that we have anyway in Africa? What is so Africa that we have in Africa?
We are black. I think.
So that
there's nothing else. Because everything seems to be coming.
Because someone comes from US, naja nabakubira brother wa mwana Libya, na musabula na mujako naddayo, na malupa kola makavuyo naddayo. You get, and not even any African country. In any case, where I was even the AU. To say, guys, can we leave matters? In fact, by the way, there are some dictators that even had some little bit of brains. I remember when Mugabe was invited in, I think in UN summit, and he was telling Tony Blair and said, Blair, Zimbabwe does not have any inch of land in UK. Manage your UK, let me manage my Zimbabwe. And the issue was about these, the ranches and the rest where even most of the whites were, owning in Zimbabwe.
Ranches, yeah.
And, in his wisdom, Tony Blair thought he could now manage Zimbabwe as his other territory. So there are some issues. Can any African country, let's talk about the ICC. How many American presidents has ICC tried? Do you know how many atrocities that American presidents have committed? They even come and confess and say, no, twagenda okutemula Saddam, we are depending on to, hawks. Bulimba where you get. But which African country, my dear, that can even say, can we have Bush Jr. tried? Or Obama in regards to Obama and Clinton in regards to Libya? No one. So that's why I ask you, what is so African in Africa as a continent?
In some of those
in fact, everything you have here is European, but in African continent.
Some of those institutions, by the way, some European countries are not even signatory to them. But you'll find the judges from those countries being the ones presiding over those cases.
So that's it's just.
So there's nothing to celebrate about the African Union.
In my view, because you have a name, yes, and you have made 60 years. It's also possible you can celebrate a kid, started grown up kid that he has made 20 years. Just like, would you celebrate your kid in any miaka abiri ngani P1? No, kwegamba bana wanga achikuba. Those things, you'd be funny.
Except that they are just
so literally you have grown by age, but you haven't developed. So because there's a difference between growth and development. So Africa, the AU has grown. It has grown 60 years of age.
There's a man who normally says Africa first.
Ebya.
He's just anyway, so I think the biggest problem has also been that there has not been that goodwill from the presidents themselves.
Yeah.
Because as much as there's an institution as African Union,
an umbrella,
most the enforcement of it, it's like you see international law. The law will be there, but the enforcement will depend on the goodwill of one person, each country. So I think the problem has always been that
it's
most of the countries,
leaders.
everyone has been, it's about me, everything's about me, what is in it for me. So there's nothing literally that crosses that boundary. Even when you see, most of the countries are not signing that Borderless Africa bill because they feel like they're still getting something out of those taxes, cross-border stuff. The tariffs. If that goes, that money will also stop. So I would rather have that one coming in as opposed to just having
But you
it
see,
free.
you cannot have a protocol, Rogers and Lillian, which is just plain. Because once you set maybe a time frame for which each one of the items has to be achieved, there should be also the other hand that says, in the event that Rogers refuses maybe sign or open their borders, this is a punishment or this is a penalty. You get? So each one of you guys is working at their pace and at their will. So Seychelles would say it's a visa-free. Uganda, no one is even bothered about Uganda. Why don't you make it a visa-free? You get? So your things, I think, were done in a very lousy way.
Buli omu atunulira ye butya bwafunamu, buli omu atunulira butya bwe kimubenefiting. Reason as to why tuyinza obutaachieving ekyo buli omu kyayayanira. Kyokuba nti tuli
si tuyinza tetugenda. When you say tuyinza, there's some bit of capability.
Tuli that one Africa and everything tukikola wamu buli kimu.
You have even heard Mr. Museveni himself saying, no, let us first unite. This can block Africa. This is too big. Let's first
East Africa.
East Africa.
How long has
but
he been
again,
here?
We are still having issues in East Africa. So no kuranagana kuno kwenjini nyini okuliwo. Tebinaba kubanga biterera botunulira mu ggwanga erya Sudan.
So byampuna.
Berwana bonga bo. But nadyagadde tubeeko ensonga endala gye twogerako awo ndo tukomewoko wano mu Uganda naye ensonga nyingi nnyo ze tulina mu ddiiro ensonga nyingi nnyo ezigenze maaso wano mu Uganda kwegamba abantu abamu batugamba nti eggwanga lidduka very very fast tuba tukyali ku kino nga kino kijjawo twali tukyali ku mabaati ate ne tujjawo ensonga ya minisita ne Private Wilson Sabiti olunaku olw'eggulo yaziikiddwa era Nigeria UPDF beba kutta omumuli mu kuziika omukulu Private Wilson Sabiti. Is there any comment about that before nga sinaba kwongerayo?
No, nze for me ekyankoledde amawulire mu kyo nti kyewunyisa nti bakwata omulambo gw'oyo omwana nagukuma for over a month. 21 days. Okay, close to a month. Naye ansi eri awo togitegeera ntuufu. Naye nekyasinza tukunyumira ennyo nti General, okay, I think he's a one-star general, Brigadier Koraija. Koraija yagamba omulambo bagenda kuteeka mu kabangali bagukanyuge bukanyuzi bagenda muzika mu bitiibwa bye ng'omusirikale. You remember when he was saying? Nagamba ono bana muzika bati bajja kubanga aba encouraging abalala. Naye neewuunyiza nga balidde ebigambo byabwe because as far as I watched they were represented by a major. I think.
Gave him gun service.
Kati nekinyumira okay mubyo nenda banga mukulu Koraije ba enanga n'abala boogeza ndiima. You get boogeza sikuvuga ndiima boogeza ndiima like boogeda ku speed y'amaanyi ekitalo even when they are not sure of what they are talking about because kati bajira kikubamu ebituli next time bona yogera ekintu people not take it serious. Yeah, people not take it serious. And nature in my view one person I think his speech is spreading like wildfire. It's of course Uganda is a country of the hungry and angry, and it's like private and this little and they are suffering and depressed, whereas other senior officers are earning big and well that is a message that is very key. Now you will not be surprised when UPDF arrests him. If indeed he was a soldier, because he was talking like a soldier when he said, yeah, it manya baranki za hansi.
The motor.
Yeah, that motor man. It baranki za hansi tuwa nabona tukora kibiki. You remember those things? Kati yao mchocho kumita gamba. Okay, we now know when we shall manage and we shall handle your concerns. Bandi musiba. Nga driver wa mulamuzo remember that guy. You get it? So you become a reactionary what? Country, which is just stupid in my view, because I'm talking about guys to take naye tugenda bikolako naye bw'omusiba kati gwomanyi banne abamunyiigiddeko you get abatagenda kwogera because you see everywhere gwe kasita ova ino yogera omuntu atandika okutegeera ekikuli mu mutwe naye bw'osirika oba omaze okusiringa off so no one can tell ekikuli mu mutwe.
That is why they end up doing things
yes definitely because kati banatya okwegala because bwe nayogera mugenda kunsiba soka nkikole kive olumu. So in my view we need to pray for this country at large nga Bannauganda and also n'abakulembera ino eggwanga be balina okukulemberamu musaala nga za ddala. Toyinza kulembera ggwanga lina abantu banyiivu nga balina enjala nga balina ennaku manda abaana batandika amasomero naye simanyi how many UPDF or police officers that are going to take their kids back to school on Monday. I can assure you very many of them won't.
A lot of civil servants now, even those drivers of
literally. I think much when ku Monday those very drivers bagenda kuvuga ababakama baabwe you get nga bikesi bijjudde like I was talking to one of I have a colleague nina colleague he's a UPDF officer kati abadansa nagamba kati omanyi obera ngo tambya nafandewo ne mu parking awantu na kusidisa akagayi bagula boot nagamba naye bayitewe nakamatu kakala katono katwayeko ebintu bwe wenyo omuntu yeta kufaayo tafaayo kumanya nti naawe ababo
bali waka
bajja kulya nagamba obeerawo muno yabadde n'abaana b'omunene omu nga bashopinga nga ono omunene abuuza abaana are you sure shopping list biweddeyo ebintu you get the theory naye nga gwowo w'omwavu obuuza naye gwe bino ebintu byonna byaki whereas yo oli abuuza are you sure byoyagala bikoze ki omwavu list bagicrossinga ow'omugagga ayogera kanagamba kino nesukali ono nga mutono are you sure ate mikwano gyo kyokka mikwano gyogera gyo ate ow'omwavu agamba ojja kusaba ku mukwano gyo these are two different parents whereas omu agamba tebigenda kumala ate mikwano gyo then for us our parents are like nikutukama twene mikwano gyo bayinza kuwa
kwana emigagga that is what they used to tell
so that's how that's what we could learn from Sabiti's of course barrier.
Okay, let's go in for a very short commercial break. When we come back, there is a lot that we're going to discuss. Ebigenda maaso wano mu ggwanga erya Uganda. Wenjogerera ebitongole ebimu ebiproviding abakuuma mu different organizations, different companies, amunange 39 of them babayimiriza okukola emirimu gyabwe gino gye badde bakola olw'ensonga nti abamu tebalina bisaanyizo oba oliawo ate n'ebirala bingi nnyo bye beetaaga okuba nga bagoberera ebyo nabyo tugenda kuba nga tubyogerako. Tulina ensonga nno munnange eya courses zino zibagamba eziri expired olunaku olw'eggulo nabadde ndaba abakulembeze b'abayizi okuva mu universities ez'enjawulo nga nayo bavaayo nga bagamba nti munnange bagendagenda mu kooti banjeyo ate ensonga zaabwe ez'okuba nti munnange universities zikyagenda maaso n'okuba nga zisomesa abaana ate nga courses ze babasomesa ze zimu ku ezo eziri ku list oba ze zimu ku ezo ezafulumidde ku nkalala ate ezafulumye nga ziraga nti courses zino ziri expired oba si kyo ne universities zino munnange babaliyirire dize sente zaabwe n'ebirala bingi bitugenda okuba nga twogera kutumbulamu katono nnyo Mighty Drive ekyagenda mu maaso.
Hi Rogers, can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes it can. Although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, What has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be no more.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Welcome back from that very short commercial break, ladies and gentlemen. My name again is Roger Studiabo, and together with Lillian Loede and Mr. Norman Tumhimbise, we are just looking through a number of current affairs that are going around and trying to make sense of some of them. Now, among all of those, when we were breaking, Lillian did mention about the expired courses. This saga that is going around, most of us, when it's speaking, we don't know if we are educated. No, we are uneducated.
Oh my God.
Because very soon they are going to pronounce us uneducated and we have to use senior certificates. But anyway, so you realize a lot of those issues have been coming up. And a number of courses seem to be labeled expired. Makerere has 159 of those that are declared expired, followed by Bugema and Bishop Stewart universities, with 63 courses that are expired. Kabale University has 59, Bostema has 28, Mbara University of Science and Technology has 34. KIU is not actually, it doesn't,
KIU has to be there.
The source I found did not show how many are expired. It is there, it is.
And there was a move along.
I'm sure in some group where they even say, no.
We already have a lawyer. Speaker herself, her course is expired because she didn't know from KIU.
Yeah, so except there are only, I think, 3 exceptions. There's Aga Khan University does not have any expired course. Clark University does not. And I think Apex.
Even Victoria University, I think I saw
Victoria has some. Victoria has some, yes. But most of the issues have been said that most of the universities are having that disclaimer that they submitted their courses for review, but they have not been reaccredited yet. So they have shifted the blame from the universities themselves to accredit the courses to the National Council of Higher Education. But it also says that apparently, according to the Universities and Other Tertiary Institutions Act of 2001, what expires is not the course. What expires is accreditation. So I want us to understand. I want to understand what exactly this means now for us who are students of the expired courses. What future do we have?
No, I don't know. There are some debates because it's about education. I think we shall apply this foreign language of English. What Uganda? You see, which is one. When you look for the definition of something expired, one, it's outdated.
Yes.
Ekyokubiri, it has lost relevancy. It's not tekikyalina makulu like mucho nebyoba nga wasoma tebiri applicable katebinza tuyamba kubako obitutwala mu maaso. Nenze mu byonna byonna I'm now going to speak as not simply a Pan-African but now as a patriot. You know? Omutagala ensi ye. Nti bana abasajja n'emitwe gyabwe abatuula ku National Council for Higher Education. Temuli muvuka wa myaka 15 oba 2. Bonna bazeeyi batuludde. You get emyaka gibakulukuta mu maaso. nti ku ttima lyabwe lye bayina because olaba kino ekintu kyatandikidde ku baana abantu abasaba scholarships ebweru you get kyatandikira wano kati bamala okubakuba ebiranga ebyo bagamba koosi yadde mwagala if you to do masters or phd bino ebintu byemuleeta byemwesigamako biri ki biri expired bana abagwagwa bakuno abatalowooza ne bakera ku matane badda ku website mayiwawo courses kati omuzadde eri enakapiripito beerwengo katona agwewo ekigo because singa abadde nga bafaayo ku nsi yaabwe there was no need for National Council for Higher Education okukwata ebyo binamutayika webiwandiiko bikusoda ku website yaabwe n'ebirala than okuinviting a university councils n'endala to have an indoor meeting to discuss this. You get? But because Ugandans, Ugandan institutions work out of either ignorance or excitement or in a reactionary way, that's why now they had again to bring back a press statement. So, couldn't they have convened university councils? Of course, with the Minister of Education, guys, ABC and Z. But going back, bagamba in accordance to their wisdom or lack of it, 2016 omuntu akubuuza kuva 2016 paka 2023 babaddengawa. You get?
Literally 8 years.
Where have they been? Ekyokubiri bwe bakugamba mbuno you must be accredited, so you hand in I don't know what it takes to to validate such courses. Bogana, these guys newspapers together, I think universities are beginning in August and so many others already
but there are those that are still
they even advertise kyebatutegeeza mbu muri staff wa National Council for Higher Education alaba mawulire ago mbuke IU oba makeri advertising courses.
But most of the people who constitute the Council for Higher Education are representatives in most of the. I was seeing this man, is it Katungu?
Onowe Chambogo.
Of Chambogo. Yeah. The man he was saying all of this is to blame on the National Council for Higher Education. Meanwhile, he's a chairman in the National Council of Higher Education. So I don't understand what are we doing exactly, because we are moving in circles. Universities are blaming the institution, the National Council, except the officials from the universities are members in the National Council.
And now blaming the National Council. Blaming the body as in the title. No, that's just the title, not the members themselves.
But I think we need to understand courses. Isn't getting as it expired? How do we? Because there are a lot of people who are talking
highlight
about that
issue. In my view, bagamba mu Koosi yo katugeze ezimu ziba tezikyali relevant in as far as the job market is
concerned. Yes, mostly.
You get most of them, which is understandable. Na ya ate wano babadde advertisinga gwe n'omutwe gwe wa National Council oba oliwa nga bafulumiza list, because kati nalabyemu some of the courses bisimanga early childhood because of it here. Early childhood education. Okay, there are so many. Kati gwe webuuza, but these universities za advertising courses ezo nga mulaba. We had an issue here with this pastor here who graduated from some university, Kayuwa something. You get you remember nenga university baddengawo nenga bayaye bakola ki bajiraba ne ejiraba weri, you remember nenga university it advertises, recruits students, they pay fees,
and most of them were high class
by none lecturers bonna
buchimba chi bama graduating abisha gamba degree ya somete iliyo then for sure
I tell you UMU the Uganda Management UMI I think, yeah. You know, most of the civil servants who go there to study postgraduate and all of this.
So for me, we have these institutions that literally are led by dull people, as in I think Chirumamu, I don't know Chigambo Churuganda to bring out omuntu dull omusiru. Okay, maybe people who are done that all they do is to go and get their allowances and sit there. You get? Because for sure, the Gavumenti, by the way, never going to be in Uganda. National Council for Education, never take into it. Nenga, you cannot ascertain whether they were even in consultation with the Ministry of Education. You get? Of what consequences will this madness bring to our country? You exported labor, you get? Now, you do not mind about your country and even those people that have gone abroad. That means we are being led by.
Some people are saying that they actually did re-accredit those courses, but they did not update the website. some are giving that as an excuse. But now, what I want to understand
but
is what is the role of the Ministry of Education in this whole thing? Because I'm not seeing
no, look at its minister. Look at its minister. When has she even appeared in the, besides Okuja, with her English, and you know her, and she.
Parliament.
You are going to buy it. You know that woman can even invite you on a lecture and she wants a whole parliament. Do you remember? You get. For me, in my view, she's this woman. With the first thing, she's always dressed smartly, with how converses, with how humble she speaks. Then the other thing she does very, very eloquently is coming and launching those results, senior 4, senior 6, and senior 4, senior 6. But these other technical things, just about what watching you move.
But her role is oversight.
Yes,
they are technocrats who are supposed to.
Very good. That's a very good one. Oversight is that you come and say, excuse me, you haven't done this very right. That's the oversight. So when has she done that? Save for telling us, abana mubasibire keki, flaska na mata bwebanga tebasura kuba wakaunga kusomero. These are things we know about her. Maria Antoinette, they were doing things. If you can't afford the bread, if you can't afford the bread, take cakes. That's what Maria Antoinette. So this is another duplication of Maria Antoinette, because you have mentioned it clearly. Oversight, so meaning oversight, go to oversee.
What is
things
the ministry?
So where the ministry PSC commissioners, because the education ministry has lots of commissioners, how would you oversee them and bang them onto their shoulder? No bagamba but abasajja batudde wali batuula mu office ya National Council no fumya kiwandiko na mutayika because we are that's a recklessly Uganda Chiganda kinyuma
bani abasinze okubeera affected mu nsonga eno.
For me, okay, in my view, it's a country. By the way, you guys have lost your reputation as a country. These guys were so lousy and reckless.
But
you just can't.
The executive, as let me first find.
You just
I
can't
saw,
do that.
It's actually here. They did issue a guideline. The executive director of the National Council for Education, Professor Mary Okwakol, she said that those who are seeking admission should check with the institutions whether they are making arrangements to resubmit expired programs soon to the National Council for consideration. For continuing students and graduates of the affected programs, the award will be recognized.
Anyway,
wow.
Of course,
but
it goes
don't you
back
think
to
we even have students abali
no,
and that's what she's saying. That those should
kitegeeza nti bwobanga wafuna omulimu ng'omaze kwesa biwandiiko ebyo, that alone disqualifies you to be suitable to have that office.
Because it means
you get
relevant.
Kati awo anti kati kizibu. So if you dig deeper, ekitegeeza ojja kufuna nga 70% of the employees both in civil service nemu NGO or civil society n'ebirala bona nga literally they are unqualified. You might even find nabo benyini abali commission awali ku National Council for Education abo benyini abo ngana benyini they even have postgraduate whatever documents nga bili expired nebambi because they are lousy and reckless bova muya yakuzukise kumata kana bwera mweyo nachiwayo.
But what is the role of the universities, is higher institutions themselves in this whole thing? Because it is possible that, okay, let's say the review can take too long, because some university vice chancellors were saying that they submitted most of the courses for reaccreditation, but the process has taken over 3 years now.
No, can't go Rogers. Katunguka no mutwe we never name. Bavanga accrediting everything. What did they do? Where did they report? The Ministry of Education.
Yeah, that's what my question is. Now, the universities, even some administrators do not actually follow up.
Would it make sense, Rogers? You are home and your maid comes and tells you, Munaga nawadda abana emmere nibagana okujiria. So you find your kids, if you have been abroad, ngabana bona they shrunk, bona bali malnourished. Kati gwe ekyo kimaid okikolera ki? Kwanga tochibuuza mbugwe kintu gwe abana bagana kuli emmere wa reporting out. So if Katunguka with his head and he's a professor, I hear agamba they sent all these documents, for example, nibagana okukola ki? Accredit them. What did they do? Did they ever report? So it has taken them, okay, kuva 2016 8 years, the same professor wakes up in the morning, wamuvugana twini mabegana nanywaneka chai paka ku university. and he did the university for over all these 8 years. If that's when they sent these documents, for example, to accredit those courses, and he's here telling us Mubagano who accrediting. The question becomes, where did he ever report that, guys, I
also want to assume that the law that establishes the National Council should have procedures for those things. Because are those procedures followed by who even? But it's also possible that some universities don't actually resubmit those things for accreditation.
They don't. Some of them, by the way, even in lawyers here, I know you know that some time back, there is when Justice Kanyihamba went to represent the rebel MPs. Bench Nemugamba, Prof, you don't have a practicing certificate. You remember? To renew. Like, people even at that age maybe forget. But in the event that they forget, where is this oversight, this other commission or commissioners that should tap their shoulders and say, guys, because you see, if Uganda had that system, I was, I think in some forum, and I was telling them that if you had, let's say, the public service ministry get updated, Rogers public service, you should be getting notification to sigaze myaka mukago kulitaringa. Kati ministry ya public service connecting any ministry ya finance, you don't need to even ever write to anyone to look for your pension. You get the logic, because all these things are incorporated, like they work hand in hand. Kati, there should be a formula nga ministries, with the universities. Every when you have 1 year to re-accredit or re-update anything, the ministry updates the university in the event that you have forgotten. Literally, like nga departments, nga quality assurance and others. Now, once you been Makere, by the ku Twin Tower, one Minister of Education, by the Sulawa, and there is no coordination, these things will happen. You will even get your degree, and after like 10 years, to akachizura. In university, like, I
can imagine if that alert did not come, how long would have gone with this happening? Because if this person, this university, Bristol, they said Bristol University.
Yeah, there are so many universities. I think that doubting these documents.
If that had not arisen, it means we would still continue for the next 10 years.
Even 30.
But some of the excuses also that have been given is that the reaccreditation is also expensive. Apparently, for example, in our first year, I think in law, we are doing about 10 course units. Accreditation of one course unit goes for 700,000. So it means 10 course units for just one course and class at that goes for 7 million. Only that one class of one first year, first semester of law, it goes for 7 million. So you can imagine the whole university having to accredit every course unit. Not every course, every course unit. Every course has like 10, 20 course units. And every course unit is 700,000.
Nanti katichikuzayo that your leaders are too much of money hungry than the purpose for which they lead us.
The quality.
You get? Yeah. Because if it's about money, a university that has money will be accredited. And once it does so, because Koosi Koosi as a lawyer, it's because you get how all this whole sequence of events will be. When they overcharge him, accrediting every course unit. Na yes saying agenda kukaringa burden, ayatu kwa tajikubu mwana na mama we tatawe. As simple as that. So literally chivamu abantu bagenda kusoma.
Meanwhile, some universities specifically the fee for National Council for Higher Education. Chambogo, for example, that had Katunguka,
who even represents
who is in the National Council. Every student pays 20,000 shillings. Every single student, every head. Because his excuse was these things are expensive to reaccredit. So where does that money go?
No, Uganda we know kwekabina.
Behavior no.
Abakulembeze abayizi munnange. Now bacheka lakasa ku nsonga eno. I was actually saying someone here tweeting kati aba students bagenda suinga universities.
Kati niwana suinga. Aya kitu cha rocket z'abantu ba mafia ba mwabawano. Mujja kuba suinga ngolinga mu third year. Awulira. The moment you lose touch with hanga mbadi university yemu akonga kaweddemu so baguwulire after 5 or 10 years. You know how these courts do their what? Their trials going on town. So literally, even when you sue, they will not hear this such a case expeditiously. It will be there forever.
So what next? Is there anything that can be done to rectify
You know, sometimes when you even suggest things, people might think that you are mad. In Uganda, you suggest things, you end up looking mad. Because for sure, when you say that you need an overhaul change, people will see you as someone who is insane. Na yengo inakatunguka no bakatunguka bwe proudly with his bald head, bald head nakutuka mukami agamba inze.
Because right now omuzadde abadde aweerera omwana bw'awulira nti courses ziri expired n'akitegeera nti omwana gw'abadde aweerera course gy'abadde akolera expired, omuzadde ono anaagenda mu maaso n'okuweerera omwana. Yo omwana yennyini anaagenda mu maaso n'okweyongerayo ne course.
Ajagenda bisoboka kati abona akola ki? Oli mwaka gwa kusatu.
Now me, I am happy with what the executive director said. That those who are continuing and those who have finished, their awards will be recognized. Those who are applying should first check on the progress or status of the course.
Hey, I'm happy with that. Because ya debaba wobutwanga tebitegerekeka naira mugene nebyo zina kyakola no ngabona agamba mu covid abana no ngabona agamba mu covid
zezine ezitali accredited
nanti ngabona agamba bana mu covid awuse emyaka ebi ne mumanya nti gino generation boba akona niti zina kyakola muveyo banamo bayino kola ki bayino gena ku class endala mu bavi so ne mukikiriza nogamba kanira tukiya chimanya time mudukamu ngatumanya nti goli wa mwaka ki okay bambi gwe yitawo tumanyi bizibu bano ba covid you know you get era yule wango recruiting aba staff omanya ojja kuleta yo 8 nga mukaga ba covid so even their level of performance you know kati namwe tujja kumanya abakosiza mu ngawe mwazi kola tibo bano of course baba bayina kyakola abayisa buyisa okuba ku speaker wabo panga ne bamuyisizo omu naye ne era kosi ye era
makale waliwo yagaye nti kale tekiruma nnyo kuba nti kosi je nakolera expired naye ate waliwo yagifuna mu first class
nanti last of course nanti nemu bintu expired waliwo expiring expiring nze nnyo ne kiri wakiri kati nabo wa first class something expired naye abaawo yeah recognize them accordingly.
Anyway, so me, I hope that we take the position of the executive director because you cannot refund our 5 years. You just can't.
But for me,
even if you said you're refunding my money, I have lost 5 years. For God's sake, I'm going to sue you.
Whatever it is, my biggest concern is bana abasajja tebandi omanyi even in chiringa of course in like ngam communication omanyi nti no ina muzadde wo aina pressure bwe mufiirwa tojja kuba miranga kujja kumute wowe jaja afudde mubuzaawo you prepare them so bugwagwa bwabwe kumalaga kubansi you know this shocking whatever it was very stupid from the
but beginning. It was the media thing.
I think media you get it wasn't in my view because like they did not consider the consequences. It was, I mean, it's counterproductive. Kademo chinyonyolo cha.
Nekati roja bugamba media, of course media guno mulimu gwayo okumanyisa abantu ebyo bigenze maaso. So basiri ko busiri saate ne batabyogera ne batabyanja.
Except for the fact that it appears on the website that the courses are expired. The law does not say that courses expire. That is what the media should have found out before they put that in the news. So for them, it's about selling headlines. Courses are expired.
But that is National Council for Higher Education. But what balaga courses? Isn't wali wasabira debateka kakagambo expired.
Exactly. Yes. What expired was the accreditation.
Ndabo mwana omasi kali gidu makirenga gamba. Mbo I think it's is it bachelor's in developmental studies or something like that. Baji phasing out like literally tena na kusomesebwa naye ate bokebera kuri stia bye bafulumiza teriko kwistera
ngam high school we ba phasing nga out subjects
kati yeno teriko tikizo mya swana ngenda najo kusomesa kuno sasa akasente ko nabanga kufezi era one media house was like muno it is scam it is scam because but fera kubro fere kwa barua kwata nzo muntu baitaga kwata kwa sijambi ogendo ojise boti kuseminti ya university wasogamba mumpaka kange because
even know that students bamaliriza babere no high school ngoli akunyonyola course jayagala osoma nogana embotofu ono mulimu agenda kujjawa ne wankubadde jagala nnyo course naye ngo
ngamba olumwe bera ya muzadde yaje kutuma mwana wange nkoyire kintu ekijindeetere kubanga wakaya tuli masajja
jagala binyonyola tobitegeera and then you're like
so okay, that's our country
never much agala soma ne course agenda jijjawa
Anyways, behavior nebigenda maso. Me, I hope we take the position of that.
Bambi, you will console yourself because
no,
the way you're promoting it.
Roger,
we hear you, Roger. I hear you. Don't I hear you? Console yourself. It's okay. We're going to take this.
Roger,
because I mean, if a million students to a university, it is going to run.
I mean, Roger, go omu kubasinzo okunyigibwa.
You're consoling.
For the interest of
the director, I don't know whether is he an ED or executive director. Okay, we go with that. Also, we have people to console ourselves with. We have the Speaker of Parliament herself, because all of those people, she got her LLB from KIU.
Unfortunately, Roger tatubulidde KIU wayimiridde mu nsonga
it wasn't on the list.
So, tulina already Speaker of Parliament ajja tuteera akabega. Yomukwagenda osoko tuwuliriza. Because she's a lawyer from KIU, so if I have a question, you have an expired degree. To get know it.
Anyway, so that is what is happening. I hope we find a solution as soon as possible, because the way you go back to the parent and tell him, you know what, the 5 years you paid for those millions of money.
You don't need to be polite. It was a scam.
If I told you we are the firstborn, bobanga gwe firstborn. Kati ne bakugamba nti course yo wasomedde expired or bana abaddako wansomzadda n'abatuusa ku university. But before kati tunaba kuva ku nsonga eyo, there are a lot of comments here. Ono Museveni twako wa comment is enagamba whatever is happening in our education system is always planned. Ayongeddeko n'agamba, and you find Ugandans proud mbu twasoma yet we can't even get a job anywhere.
But that Baganda also, you people, you have to be precise with your language. There is a difference between okusoma n'okuyiga. No, okusoma n'okuyiga. So that's why bakugamba twasobola kugamba muno mu lukungaana olwabaddemu abaasoma bagamba olukungaana olwabaddemu abayivu. So when you go to school tokoma okusoma obaako by'osoma naye ate oyina kubaako by'oyiga nti bw'ovaayo bye wayiga byokola ki bitekani practice. So kati mwe wano musoma busomi you study very good. So here what you literally do, you simply study, because if you learn then you come and get what you have learned and put into practice.
Kati knowledge oli gwaba yafuna mu course eyo gye yasoma. Those are the questions, of course, abantu badenga bebuuza. Naye ayongeddeko n'agamba whatever is happening to Uganda, trust me, the government of Uganda knows it, and that's why Makerere was banned.
Uganda egenda kufuuka kisekererwa. You know, there's, like, tugenda kutuuka ekiseera nga Uganda wova where do you come from? Africa. You don't even mention Uganda. Where to dance? Like Uganda is
from East Africa.
Me, no, from Africa.
A good thing we have is
Africa. Customer is stepping over at airport. Mangu nambe take mu court. Otherwise Uganda is going to become ngachabu swamp. Nigonga ya milisi wazo kugamba we come from Uganda.
Yeah.
Because there used to be years nga bagamba omuntu nga ava Congo nga tayogera mu Java. Nga babuuza ne mwasibira mutu mu yayi kubaka nkamuli emyaka gwejoga muri mu kwa kubindongo.
Abantu abamu abavange Congo bagamba nganze mva Nigeria.
Yes, nga oteno kwogera over kati can you be nga BI president wolo gamuva.
Cameroon, I can't.
Tochogera gabagambi neighborhood.
I come from West Africa.
Nito yogera gwanga. Gwanga president wa mwe ali kubigundi kurachi zo atamulanga zombi. Miaka alinga mu bibiri, like you can't mention where you're coming from. So Uganda egera fuka kisekerero.
Waliwo wana comment zenagamba our students are misguided before joining these universities seriously.
Who misguides who? I don't agree with him, because you're the one who decides that he wants to do this and that course. So
but you see, Rogers, this is the point also. Do you know, at least I know you know, that it's also possible, some people, even in your, I mean, amongst your classmates, mulimu abana bakola course yo law, just lwachi nyumu. Haven't you been with kids in a class? But for sure, amateka galabe naku. No, like you, like no kamane katonda tuyambe. What type of a lawyer? Have you had those kids in school? No, sina mukulu we. Ala wala bisegona ku TV nagamba no kwambale suti we nangi no kola lo. Bamalo bisoma then nada nagamba eno yansala omusanga ari mukuyiri bakibuga ku mutaasa screen guard zo nayo zinonya. Tebaliyo. So checho omuntu ali yovi wachagamye abantu abamu they are of course misled and misguided. There is no career guidance in this country. Tell me who has guided you, Rogers. Mumchakutu zanagamba niyo manyi. Okola law for A, B, C, and Z. Oba okola journalism A, B, C, and Z. Oba medicine. Some people just do courses because of Musadi Jayagala, because Uncle Jayagala, because Muchika, Uncle Yajana to Zakato Nagamba. Kanakano, engage Kanakamuna, Matuga, Konefu ahead. Customer of Funa Somesa, Customer of Fuka Doctor Karuji. You know it. I
want to still disagree.
Then in the morning, we have uncle, I let admission application form.
I want to some extent still disagree. On the comment of being misguided, it is true that some people, generally it has been there until your father has always wanted this, so you are going to actually do that.
Yeah.
So I want to agree to some extent to that. But generally I can't say that students have been misguided, because at the end of the day, you are someone who, when you finish senior 6, most of the times, I think most people, they ask them, what do you want to do? So as to the effect, I
want to add, whereas they asked you, what do you want to do? Did they ever ask you, why do you want to do what you want to do?
So why do you decide to do it?
You get
because the decision is yours.
But
in that case they are not
I have seen some my friends' kids in Gavagama. The way how those men have money.
Here is the thing. First of all, Gavumenti, they don't tell them that Jokola Katale. But here is my father, whose only job they have known is growing food, who has absolutely no experience of even P1. How do you expect them to tell me that there is no market for example, we cannot know that.
Yeah.
So if they ask you what do you want to do, you decide, I want to do, for example, let's say law, I want to become an engineer. They do not know the market, the job market, how it stands. When you have decided that, their role has always been, I am going to pay that they go to the extent of selling their small plots of land, the only one at that, to make sure that you go and become something. So at that point, I do not see where the misguidance comes in, because it is you. As a student, you have decided I want to do ABCD. If you feel that second appearing on TV and they have done law, you want to be like second.
But don't you know that Rogers abana bali university okonga akola course olwokuba nti erinnya lisoundinga bulungi. Then no one has misguided them who are doing that mistake. Olusi guided nti course eyo gyokola ogenda kumala ebbanga ng'okyanoonya omulimu. Okiraba oba ne katale kaayo like teacher tunda nnyo okiraba naye nga yajja sawulira akannyako kawulikika bulungi nnyo
nebe kawuliko bulungi. I think the part that I can blame is that the career guidance.
Yeah, that is what needs to be done.
To say that in a country as we stand, the market for such and such a course is at this extent. So even if you decide to do it, you know that there are consequences that you may take longer to find a job in that area.
Or even never get one.
Or never get one. That's
and
right.
Just go back home.
So that is what I can do. But I can't say that students are misguided. I still disagree that people are misguided, because at the end of the day, you're the one who chooses.
I think one of the
Nancy K. Agamba, I was unfortunate to come to UK in 2007 on British Commonwealth sponsorship for my PhD with Bristol University, and I stayed working with the university. Yes. Each and every student that came for postgraduate from Uganda were below standard in almost every subject. An example of a lady that was training physiotherapy at Mulago came over to attain a master's but was forced to go back to undergraduate second year before joining the master's course. Uganda needs to revise all university education. People have to remember Bristol University is among the best 3 universities in UK.
I think it's also even I'm going to blame the National Council for Higher Education for one thing. that even when universities are offering to do those courses, the other day we were at KIU, and I was speaking with one of the people that were telling me that as long as you pass LDC, you qualify to be a teacher
by the way,
a lecturer, of law. But I know my people, some of them, like you said, there's studying and there's learning. It does not necessarily mean that because you passed LDC,
by the way,
you are
whether you
fit
even
to
have first
teach a
class,
particular
you have the skill to pass on the knowledge to another person.
Exactly.
That's
so
why
I was like, okay, so it means if I left today,
that's why
LDC
on the
finish,
very issue, I want to also suggest, of course, we want to believe that these people, okay, the misleaders of this country are watching and maybe they will find this information. It would be ideal, Rogers, that once you leave LDC, in fact, any of those levels, to have a special brief course to now, scrub and polish to professionalize now your teaching skills. Neto ja kwata mutwe ego, muloko wa LDC, oguguzu mutani university musomesa bana chi. These are two different things. We are to practice, not to teach.
We had
you get the point.
With people
they qualify you to become a practitioner, court, not to lecture. So there should be some bit of that short course to now enable you transform this knowledge from mere practicing to now towards teaching it and giving the knowledge to other students.
Meanwhile, I don't know actually other courses. When you finish, you go do masters, come and teach.
Those years, I don't know whether Chichakora, but it was mandatory to first class. You only qualify when they tell you to teach straight away.
I have a
friend. You get? Yes, like mu primary mbona muvaka senior 4 sema bila kusomera mu na soka na wasomesa because ali mu vacation senior 4 ali ku primary P7 ali gisomesa B6 abakuba kiboko zo rekere like
ate babera bakubya abo babera
then senior 6 iro jagwe bazanyira ko bosoma ngesomesa history mu senior 4 like you gotta hear them like you gotta just fun. So that's the country we're living in.
Nancy K, thank you so much for watching. Webale nyora highlight ejo tuwadde naye ate ono gwe bazaayo bannange.
Anyway, so I think we have had enough discussion on that issue, but I hope there is a serious solution that should be coming out after that. Now, one of the other things that has been also happening in the very recent times, this week and last week predominantly, is the budget. The national budget 2023, 2024. I think the previous financial year we had one that is ending next month. Yeah, I think our budget was at 49 trillion, if I'm not mistaken. Was it 49 or 48? Thereabout. But the initial planning budget, this one that is coming 2023, 2024, they had projected 51 trillion.
51, 52?
Initially they had done 51, and then they come with this thing of Korea agenda or Korean agenda, something like that, where they made some errors or they made miscalculations on some of the things they need to add more money, and then it came to 52. But as it stands, most of the people have been putting the question to the State House spending, the budget increasing by 29 billion, and the priority, of course, of some of the areas that are taking the lion's share in the national budget as a whole. And also the fact that most of the monies go, I think a good percentage of the budget, about I think over 15% or 18, I think around 18%, goes to recurring expenditures and the debt reservicing. Where we are only reservicing the debt and recurring expenditures are those you're paying salaries, you're paying this, normal things that are always happening. That is the biggest budget of it goes to recurrent as opposed to development agendas and expenditures. I do not understand. What do you think about this whole setup of the budget expenditures?
It's a tricky one. Ekisoka.
And the controversy spending of the president.
Ekisoka kiraga gwanga erikulemberwa abantu abatafaayo nikiraga n'abakulemberwa nga tebafaayo. Kati netubanga tulina abatafaayo ba mirundi ebiri. Akulembera tafaayo nina abakulemberwa tebafaayo. Rogers, budget gisoko jije ku national level ogise ku family level. Tuyina abaana 8 in a home. abaana 8 balima 5 ku 100 si eka bwe mumala okutunda ebijanjalo n'ebinyeebwa bye balimye ku 5 ku 100 mujjamu emitwalo 10 buli mwaka. Bwe mujja emitwalo 10 buli mwaka mu butategeera abo nga head of the family n'ogamba njagala kwambala engatto lumamyo ya mitwalo 4 naye nga abaana balimye eka half acre okusharuura what is okukungula mu Luganda. Mu kukungula kwammwe mwakungudde ebintu biva mu mitwalo 10 naye gwe muzeeyi wa family taata w'abaana oyagala kulya enkoko otumire kajavasi buli kawungeezi I can assure you oba totegeera naye olwokuba n'abaana ne bategeera ate n'abaana ne batakubuuza mu ne taata bino byotugamba because you see before you even have your budget teri kintu kyasize kunyiizanga that word projection. It is just annoying, it is uncalled for, it is silly for the economists of this country to simply use the word projection. Projection should match with one, when you graduated as far as these numbers, how many are likely to get jobs vis-a-vis the taxes that are likely to be corrected from. You get? Nogamba guno omwaka Uganda ekulakulanye bweti nabwe ekityo naye teri kintu kyasize kunyiizanga mu minister wa finance ne ban because literally minister of finance mu gwanga ye president as per Uganda's constitution. This one just atwala powers delegate aja powers wa president ono Kasaija neno otwana ogamba mbu we project okusolooza omusolo just babera chomu in space cloud naye tebagamba because it would be okusinzira companies eziguddwawo mu Uganda ne projects bwezi zijja kwa omusolo bwebuti because we are practicals ngomanyi nti Masaka bataddeyo an agro something company or plant egenda kwa mbwezi but they simply use the word projection. That is why between me and you around nga mu Gwokuna next year era ojja kulaba omusajja nga yambadde akasuti kalungi ka bbulu ne sati ya white nga ye commissioner wa URA yagambe ze twasuubira okukunganya tetwakola ki. You have heard of that story every year. That story comes. Do you know how it comes? Because they simply project without being practical and knowing how best they are going to get that money. Secondly, bw'omala okutegeera nti family yo erima kawo ne soya avamu emitwalo 10 you revise n'ogamba nze muzeeyi agaliko mbadde nsuubira okwambala amasuuti agakakadde kanzire kutangira si erugabire ne t-shirt ova mu wino esobole okumakinga ne kyetuyingiza naye mu butategeera bwaffe ate ffe tugamba abaana ke balime half quarter acre ne bajjamu emitwalo 10 kangende wa neighbor ye asobola okulima ebi n'akungula atuwole so that I can live in extravagance. But under normal circumstances you would say what consumes our revenue, it is extravagance from civil service, of course administrative costs, and then you slash them. How do you slash them? You become exemplary and say, when this money came here from in 1986, Museveni we used to put on Kaunda suits. Kakaunda agamba kano katungirwa wano night ile jabutunga. You get? Until of late natandika shati dress that you know that whatever that white shirt he always puts on. Nagende mulago nagule kitanda. You know he was telling Ugandans you guys tufunye revolutionary. Na yewe unya engeje byachuka mu bwebiti. Natambira kati motoka 10 Mr. Museveni moves with 40 vehicles. But ministers may vary between 4 and 6 vehicles. All that is money. Maintenance of those vehicles, expenses cut for sure. Walabinga bagamba a bill ya mazi ya 500 million. Kati simanyo ba Mr. Museveni has a waterfall in any of the state houses. Ngago gabira gaininge you know a waterfall ngago sit up go because na masanyalazi. And then you wonder where does that money go? But most likely it is very possible nti no basobola okugamba nti za mazzi nenga lumwana akolaki azikuba azawula because mwana bagamba no amasanze ga milioni 5 ngo singa ne gundi company efulumya mabati so obo fulumya mu state house. So to me it's dealing with extravagance of your leaders that you will manage to live within your means. Osonda chona sobola kolaki ojja chona sobola okumira nego wokoma okuboja chota sobole there is trouble.
This one was justifying the spending of the State House, saying that State House has units. There is State House Entebbe, State Lodge in Kasarani, State Lodge's Office of the Residence of the Vice President, First lady, several office buildings, training centers, programs and projects.
First lady, that's tugamba first lady yayawukana ne bbaawe twasula wamu twasula mu state house emu ayinayo amaka genjawulo ekyokubiri amasanyalaze roja amasanyalaze amazzi gokozesa nga Museveni president wa Uganda muno ngaali mu state lodge katugeze yebushenyi bwavaayo era genda okusigala nga gegamu because ebimu bikola nga gyali ebirala bikola taliiyo. So I think for me it goes back to all of us fenga bannayuganda tetufuddeeyo n'abatukulembera tebafuddeeyo. So mu bunafu obwo tugenda kwera bwetyo tubeere mu mabanja forever and ever. Amen. Because for sure I can assure you that this disease can't be cured now until you go back and revise your expenses, administrative expenses, and also choosing priorities.
But I also think that a part of solving this whole administrative spending is merging institutions. They had to come with that idea because you realize you have a lot of duplication. You have literally like 3 or 4 entities doing relatively the same work.
Let's go back to, let's say, Minister of Health. By Minister for Health, by Minister for Primary Health Care, by State Minister for Health. You get secondary care. Like then you have Minister for Sports, you have now Minister for Higher Education. Higher Education.
You have Minister of Education and Sports. That's a minister of their own. The Minister for, I think, for Sports.
What higher education?
I
think.
Then
what do you know?
Primary, primary education. Then the secondary, like that.
Yeah. Literally, you have like 5 ministry of officers under one, doing relatively the same thing.
That is until you manage that.
So I think part of what we need to do is to reduce duplication, to merge all of those institutions that do relative work that is the same, because you'll go find people doing the same things. Literally the same things. Well, all of them failing at it meanwhile.
Yeah.
So I think.
I think that China creation ministries because the ministries which are creating.
Of course,
it will bring. I mean, you hear in charge Manga, Equata Consonga Sekaramoja.
N'abadempulira n'abayimbi nabo nga bagalayo ministry ya.
I mean, Bonaba way. Those are never baiting our way. Like we should have as many.
Twina minister wabakadde already.
They have
minister, but it bafana MP. Dine MP by the way. Bafana MP wabakadde. Bafana minister
wabakadde. Parliament jali ne baina ne minister.
Bali bagalobani obani MP wabatasoma. I mean, a lot.
Nebamalaya bagalayo ministry.
Ndoza ngo yowabatasoma ino gena na taputa anamuvunulira kwanga batamanyi luzungu kati batula mu parliament bayino mufulira bayino mufulira ati yasoma tapute ebya atasoma yakola chi.
Then you have 10 MPs for UPDF.
And 5 for here for you.
Mutebo tebalina kyabali bogedde mu parliament.
For them,
no, speak what? One person would represent the whole institution.
Like ebibanyiganga bo.
We need 10 people to tell us what is happening in the ministry in the army.
I think
do we need 10 people?
I always tell people here, I think I've told colleagues that with due respect to our colleagues in parliament, because we know that most of them have just gone there for survival. Naye osango musajja nga semuju nga bandi badde bamwa district nga 15 nga zakiikirira. You get? Nti one MP, there is that outstanding MP nga for sure. He is a representative of like nga 20 heads. Kati nga bofuna nga bo wetaga abo nga 5. Then the rest can go back home and mobo ne balunde embata, you know.
Twina ababaka abakikirira abakozi.
Kati bokwata walobe MPs ebine ebisatu. Lilian, I will use this and sorry for your organization. Walobe MP ebine ebisatu. Ekimu kyali kiwewe. No. Where is do you know why? Kama ichi. Ekimu kyali kiwewe takinna chugana kagodo gano mu mutwe.
Meanwhile that one is from Masaka.
God. And I happen to have anyway. That's why even Rweng was cut off from Masaka. Ekimu nga kiwewe to musajja omu. Nekira nekirete twelyacho unachiba chiwewete kati for sure. And our dear speaker you remember Rogers and Lilian, our dear speaker chochote cha makuru, has she said anything? Has she even said them to disciplinary committee?
Obaka video tanna kalaba.
Indeed kati gwabana bafa bala parliament here for inspiration. What do they get? Olaba bakole ebyo kati ogamba kironga tewali camera. What happens in the corridors of parliament? No wonder they said condoms in parliament zigwamu nga no mwezi kumute gunagwa bazi juza mutoyiza almost every week. So rabe we wete emisana nga TV kweri nene kitaba na magezi galowooza mu ne camera mwezi mu parliament. What type of MPs are those? For sure chikazi chikuru sasa raba wacho Chensa chikuru china n'abaana and he puts his head like a pig and they are busy massaging his head on our money. Watch it on the areas and Matatu. You remember some guy was always going to Matatu. Very excited, he got to tablet. You remember? So Kati Mitwenge, there are some people that were meant to be, not even the counselors, to be Baba Itanga Abama LOC. So tell me, and that person is earning our 30 million.
Before time is running out, I wanted also to just get a highlight on the president's visits to Masaka. And of course other regions. Because he was from the north recently, those sub-regions that are in the north. And then he was in Masaka recently.
In my view, one of the reforms, not if, I think using if would be not appropriate, but when I have an opportunity to be in any position in this country, I would propose what we would call rotational leadership. Okay, presidency, for other word, but of course it's a theory under review or writing some paperwork about it. You would say which nechsanja chama ketano. So you subdivide your country into 5 regions. No gamba katugeze omwaka gumengenda go campinga, and this thing has been more or less done by I think Salim Sade, even when he doesn't hold any specific office. Until Gambe ogenda kudilinga ne Buganda region. So you manage its problems to that bone marrow. You get? Then katinogamba guno mwaka ngenda gumara katugeze mu Karamoja. You get? For some reason bubango effective ngasiya mu 7 kunonya kalulu na kubuza abantu. It works in my view because literally you abantu amanya guno mwaka baba RDC ba LC one bagenda kola na manyi buku bagenda kola na manyi because amanya guno mwaka omusajja agenda kugumalino. Nti abagalo kusinkana bonagala kusinkana president wa Uganda bamanya guno mwaka ali mu Uganda jasimbi amakanda. In my view it would work. Na yo wano mu Uganda bino abikola ku chita mulujja kwetolora kuba ku bujambo because it's also not fair for a whole president okwanga yalinga supervising emyoga no launchinga zino zebra crossing kumara mu roads. What I mean it's not fair. It's not done in good faith. Na it would be a good thing if it was done in good faith. Kwanga iragenda kuva wao nyataina cha solvinzi. In other countries abira ungaze ku addressing abizibu ya region yeyo baba veterans nga ina meeting na veterans meeting na abalimi like you share. What this guy used to do no Tanzania no musajja yafa Magufuli. If it's my dear bagamba tugateka ode irwe nga kwampinga yo
bamukabidde bizu byonna ebibanyigirize bibaluma
na kola tya era what Mr. Museveni can do kuba bubasa yo babuno bwa maroon obwa gono bwa kachi na kutamba.
The problem I always found is most of the times he goes to particular regions, they take them to 1 or 2 isolated farms that are doing well. Now that is one among like 1,000 of others that are failing. And they will say so that's a problem I have because he also said as even saying his Twitter handle, him saying that he's happy with the progress of what is happening. But when you look at the region honestly, does it reflect the whole district? Okay, let's say just Masaka district. Does it reflect that?
I happen to be from Greater Masaka, like they say, where Luengo was chopped from. The poverty levels in Luengo and Masaka at large are just worrying. But of course not different from any other. Even in Western Uganda where he comes from, people are broke. Mama babiri kuzika lwali berwani lwatumino something wali yagamba I think ku Labor Day yagamba muno ngatumeseza abantu okay leka bogere mu lyankole like neke nyini chimayimbo achaina abantu batamanyichi nga speech nagamba baziteke mu lyankole. So there is
and he talked about the problem of land fragmentation as one of the problems that are still facing people from joining the money economy. The cutting of land, which is a good idea. I think I want to agree with him to some extent.
It does, but you see land fragmentation goes with, you first interrogate the causes. Because first of all, families are divided. So where a family is divided, the land will automatically become the victim. It will be divided.
But a part of it is also
civic education. People haven't been taught that once you have a whole chunk of land in a mulirima konga mwenga family, it can benefit you than kwata first born bono ya sikira bazadde bamweka abiri kwa abiri oli atano kuchikumi.
Basigadde na babawe mukuchukumi.
Abasigadde munalima kulia jajja. Those things. So
abasigadde bali alima kulia.
Yeah, kulia jajja batali bagamba mugwano. Of course lawyers will say these are legitimate children, others are not. So illegitimate mugende muri kulia jajja wamwe. So
mukolona mandoza tuwonzekide wano obaka obwonzekana obingi nyo betulesa ebyo tutayogeddeeko NRM babadde mu manifesto week ebirala bingi nnyo.
Ezava passing, meanwhile, I think the parliament accepted that. You know, you remember that Russian company, the tracking system that is corrupt? The parliament yesterday passed the resolution to, I think, give them money and do that. So, maybe.
I think for me, Bannauganda tulina okwesabira as a country naye n'essaala zokka tezikola olina okusaba nga bw'okola like if you want things to work and because emiwaatwa gyonna amakubo gonna ag'okuggyako gavumenti gagenda gazibikira obuyekera tebukyasobola kukola biki so bwe muba nga mwetegekera kalulu mukole n'amaanyi ng'aba opposition okukakasa abantu mu mwetaagisa okubalonda nati ne babalonda era mukuma kalulu if that is bwe wanga kyemukusigazza tunagamba ki naye magamira amakuba amalala I think this country needs an overhaul. I don't know, like kuba ku parliament byonna binyiiza like binyiiza olaba MP n'abaako ne byayogera n'omusaasira n'abamulonda n'abantu baasiba n'abewaka ne weewunya like you wonder and there are those examples. I have been following and watching this man from Masaka also Twaha Kagabo, the man, I don't even know what is in his head. I
agree with Kagabo on a lot of things. To some extent, I agree with Kagabo. Very well.
I tell you, they are with Muwewes in Uganda, it becomes Muwewes. Someone on Baweze becomes
Chiwewes.
I think in Uganda.
Not
I mean, baby. So bambi mwesabire Uganda and of course bemwalonda babafaanana katika tugenderawo mu kati bitula bolinga wewe tabali tumanya nti constituency yo nabatabula byewewe akumbi
toyazaga mukulu no mani ndoza Rogers Katujwan.
All right, thank you so much lady and gentlemen for the time being here kwogeramu here and there about the current issues as they're happening. But when you look at the center of most of the things that are happening, it is just a question of governance and direction. It's just providing clarity on how things should be done. And some of them you just need common sense even when you don't have the technocrats as such. Because honestly speaking, how do you run a National Council of Higher Education? Courses expire and everything keeps going. No, it's what I'm saying, because it's it just doesn't make sense.
He did the course for 4 years.
It just doesn't make sense. So a lot of all of these things, even common sense, someone can say that you're really doing something dumb. That's it. I'm probably using a wrong word, but that is what it is. So I think we need to get a lot more serious on some of these issues, because this community is all of ours. Even if you take your students from nursery to university abroad, eventually sooner or later their children or whatever, they will come here. And this will be their country and they will benefit from what you left behind. So at the end of the day, it affects all of us. Meanwhile, that is just my small piece of wisdom. Have a very good day, ladies and gentlemen.